What's Black Adam's beef with Superman? Why would you send a clown to do a soldier's job? And what the hell happened to Mr. Mind? We'd love to be able to answer these questions, but, well, we can't.
Why did you say that name?
Save Martha. Can you even imagine if Batman's mom's name was Gloria? What's he supposed to say? Is this a riddle? At any point during their fight or before it, Clark could easily have tried to explain the fact that Lex Luthor has taken his mother hostage. Clark could have taken it a step further and told Batman that he refers to his mother by her first name. And therefore, if he starts saying random girls' names during their fight, it's probably in reference to her. Wordy, yes, but it makes more sense than the scene as it is. This exchange also begs the question as to whether Bruce Wayne reacts like this anytime he hears the word Martha in the wild.
So it's not very difficult.
It's all on the next Martha Stewart Living.
Why did you say that name?
Let's face it, there's a lot to make fun of in 2016's travesty of a Suicide Squad movie.
So that's it? What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
And roll credits! But really, setting aside the terrible dialogue, it's easy to forget that the plot makes zero sense. Think about it. Amanda Waller forms Task Force X, a collection of imprisoned supervillains, to carry out government missions on her behalf. When Enchantress takes over Midway City and threatens the entire world, the squad is sent in to rescue Waller. After that, they decide to go and put a stop to Enchantress's plans. But what exactly does the Suicide Squad bring to this mission that couldn't be achieved by a squad of special ops soldiers? If Waller needed to be extracted, a load more army guys could surely have done the job just as well, and with fewer damn needle drops. As a concept, the Suicide Squad works best when they're used as expendable cannon fodder on missions that the government wants to keep quiet. In this case, though, it would make far more sense for Waller to call upon the military or actual superheroes to rescue her and deal with Enchantress. And even if Waller just really wants to use Task Force X, why did she pick the weakest villains out there? El Diablo is the only one with any actual superpowers. Harley Quinn has a baseball bat, Deadshot can shoot real good, and Captain Boomerang throws, well, boomerangs. Where's Polka Dot Man when you need him? Ares seems like a natural antagonist for Wonder Woman. She seeks to bring peace to the world, and he's an agent of war. So when Diana hears about the Great War in Wonder Woman, she becomes convinced Ares is behind it and sets out to stop him. But when the two finally throw down against each other, he tells her that he's not actually responsible for war, at least not directly.
We start these wars on their own.
This provides a somewhat nuanced approach to morality, one that challenges Wonder Woman's preconceived notions about the world. And yet, the aftermath of the film's climax seems to undo it. After Diana kills Ares, the soldiers who emerge from the rubble are apparently willing to put all that nasty war business behind them. This makes it seem as though Ares was, in fact, controlling them, and that a spell of some kind was broken upon his death. The fact that the very next scene depicts the end of the war doesn't exactly do much to dispel this idea either. But wouldn't it make more sense for the soldiers to want to keep fighting after Ares' death, and for Diana to have to convince them to put all the madness behind them? Instead, it appears as if Diana has managed to undo Ares' influence just by killing him, which feels both contradictory and grimly ironic. Man of Steel tries to take a gritty, grounded approach to the idea of an alien who's powered by the sun, which is certainly ambitious, if nothing else. To that end, the DCEU version of Clark Kent's parents are shown to be terrified of what might happen to him if the world finds out about his abilities.
People are afraid of what they don't understand.
This makes sense to an extent, but the whole plot thread falls apart spectacularly during arguably the worst scene in Man of Steel, Jonathan Kent's death. Stuck in the path of an inconvenient tornado, old Pa stops Clark from saving him, sacrificing his own life so that no one will discover that Clark is an alien. Top marks for selflessness, sure, but that doesn't make it any less silly. Yes, Jonathan is concerned about the world learning about Clark, but the kid already saved a bus full of children, and no one was able to put two and two together. And while there are other people around in the tornado scene, Clark's super speed and jumping abilities really ought to allow him to grab his dad and pull him to safety. And let's face it, most people are going to be paying more attention to the tornado than the doddery old man standing in its path. Truth is, there's a reason why Jonathan usually dies by heart attack in the comics. That's something even Superman can't prevent, proving there's a limit to who he can and can't save. Batman spends most of Batman v Superman in full murder mode, apparently due to the untimely death of his Robin. And so, for most of the movie, the Caped Crusader had zero qualms about mowing down bad guys with machine guns, something the character is typically less inclined to do. This alone angered a lot of fans who claim the movie mischaracterized Batman. But for the sake of argument, let's let it slide. His adopted son was killed, so he goes a little nuts. This is a guy who dresses up as a bat we're talking about here. Here's the thing though, if this version of Batman is so chill with killing, why doesn't he take out the Joker? The brief glimpse we get of Robin's suit in Batman v Superman strongly implies that it was the Joker who killed Robin. So if Bruce has truly embraced his homicidal instincts, wouldn't Joker be first on his list? Batman kills countless nameless thugs throughout Batman v Superman, and for a while he even tries to kill Superman. But the Joker really is evil through and through, and yet Batman leaves him be. Oh, and hey, speaking of killing Superman, the mid-credits scene in Shazam finds Havana languishing in a prison cell, where he meets the talking caterpillar, Mr. Mind. It stands to reason that Mr. Mind's introduction here might have suggested that he'd be the villain in Shazam 2, but sadly, that would have made too much sense. When Shazam Fury of the Gods came out, the bad guys were instead Hespera and Calypso, the daughters of Atlas. This ties Shazam more into the mythological side of the DCEU, which goes some way to explaining the weird Wonder Woman cameo at the very end, but sadly, no Mr. Mind. He's instead relegated to yet another post-credit scene for Fury of the Gods.
It takes me a very long time to get places, okay?
Fury of the Gods came out after it was announced James Gunn and Peter Safran would reboot the DC cinematic universe, and perhaps unsurprisingly, Shazam 3 wasn't on their list of films for the new franchise. For that reason, it's probably safe to assume that Shazam Fury of the Gods marked the end of the line for this iteration of Mr. Mind. You have to wonder then, why anyone thought it was a good idea to end Fury of the Gods with a tease about his future. Wonder Woman 1984 introduces the Dreamstone, an artifact that grants each person a single wish while taking something away from them. It's classic monkey's paw logic, but throughout the film, the Dreamstone's rules become increasingly muddled. For starters, Diana wishes for Steve Trevor to come back after he died in World War I. He does return, but it's not actually Steve. Diana effectively sees his essence in the body of another man, who goes into some kind of limbo state while Steve occupies his body. But this means that Diana technically hasn't had her wish fulfilled in the first place, and it's not like this is supposed to be the negative consequence of her wish, as she also begins losing her powers soon after. Did she get two downsides to her wish for some reason, or was it one downside to a deeply flawed fulfillment? And things get more confusing later, when Barbara Minerva is allowed two wishes. The first is to become strong, sexy, and cool like Diana. After that, she wishes to become an apex predator, which frankly is kind of a weird turn of phrase, but hey, the script had to turn her into Cheetah somehow. Plot consistency often gets dicey when magic is involved, but it really seems like the movie should have tried harder to keep the Dreamstone's rules straightforward. A character gets their wish, it comes at a price, and yet Diana and Barbara's wishes contradict this, making the whole thing much muddier than it needs to be.
Black Adam. We should talk.
Black Adam is a complex comic book character who will occasionally do the right thing if it serves his interests, but he's not above committing some truly diabolical acts, if need be. In the film Black Adam, however, this mostly boils down to him being a good guy who kills a load of bad guys, and since this is all done in an attempt to do right by Kahndaq, the movie's infamous post-credit scene becomes pretty confusing. Black Adam ends with the titular character deciding to rule over Kahndaq as a protector, not a dictator. This seems fair enough, and Adam doesn't give any indication that he wants to seek more power or conquer other lands. But that doesn't stop Amanda Waller from sending a drone to threaten him into remaining inside Kahndaq. Even more bafflingly, Superman then turns up to put Black Adam in his place. It doesn't make sense for Waller or Superman to bother Adam when he poses no more of a threat to America than any other world leader. And it doesn't add up for Adam to antagonize Waller when all he wants to do is stay in his lane. And of course, with so many other conflicts in the DCEU, it feels like this could have all been avoided had Black Adam just used his words to explain he has no intention of leaving Kahndaq and that he only wants to keep his people safe. After taking a decade to make it to the big screen, 2023's The Flash proved to be a middling affair at best. The movie's odd visual style, awful CGI, and weird performances might have been forgiven if the story was any good, but it wasn't. Take, for example, the fact that Barry Allen completely fails to learn the most famous lesson of the Flashpoint Paradox storyline. The Flash sees Barry travel to the past to save his mother, creating a ripple effect that leads to General Zod attacking a planet Earth with no Superman. Barry realizes the only way to protect the planet is to go back to ensure his mother dies, an emotional moment in which Barry sacrifices what he wants for the greater good. In the process, however, he makes a slight detour to ensure that his father's face is seen on security cameras at a grocery store, giving him an alibi that will keep him out of prison. The whole point of the Flash is you should be thankful for how things are, even if you wish they could be different, but Barry ignores this so that he at least gets one parent back in his life, and damn the consequences for the rest of reality. The movie's writers couldn't have undermined their own message better if they'd actually tried.